Hello Halo fans, and welcome back to another Halo Theory video. Today I'm going to cover my theory of the possible return for the Flood and if there could be a cure for it. Just as a quick warning, most of my videos will contain spoilers or possibly future spoilers in the Halo franchise, so please watch at your own risk. I want to start this video off with looking at the most recent piece of Halo canon that has been released, known as the graphic novel Tales from Slipspace. One short story in this novel, titled Something Has Happened, we get a look at the events of Halo Escalation Volume 6, where we can see a Flood infection form moving across the cryo bay of the Spirit of Fire. This short story is the continued version of what happens in this comic. It is also the continued voice of what can be heard at the legendary ending of Halo Wars here.
Wake up. Something has happened.
In this short story, we also get a look at the infection form that was at the end of the Halo Escalation comic and its takeover of the crew of the Spirit of Fire. In order not to ruin every bit of the story, I'll leave it to a quick sum up of the Flood eventually being contained and eliminated, with Serena, the AI from Halo Wars, giving the line "Captain, something has happened" as the last line of this short story. This short story is one of my reasons for believing that the Flood will appear again in the Halo franchise. I feel here that 343 Industries is letting us know that the Flood are not a major threat as of now, but are not forgotten as a whole in Halo. Now, in opposition to this point, I want to look at 343's stand on future Halo games. As it has been stated, 343 Industries is moving to make a new target audience of a younger age for Halo. Seeing as the move for more Halo toys and Mega Block build sets, I can clearly see why they would also want to change the game rating from mature to teen. This would probably also include removing blood and other things that would make the game M-rated like the Flood. Taking this into account, however, I wouldn't understand why make a move as to include the Flood in Halo Tales from Slipspace, as well as to attempt to keep the Flood out of the games entirely. I believe a better option to achieve this goal would be to leave the Flood out of any form of canon completely if one truly wanted the Flood to be forgotten. Moving on to my second point, I want to look at a game 343 developed themselves. Halo 4 showed us a different form of an infection game known as Flood. This mode included never-before-seen infected Spartans. Knowing as little as I do about game development, I do know that making a character model is no easy task, especially to only have it included in a single game mode for matchmaking. I feel that 343 had other plans for this character model and can possibly be seen in future Halo games if the Flood was to return. Both of these points bring me to a gut conclusion that the Flood will return in the future Halo games. I most likely see them returning in Halo Wars 2 at the Lesser Ark and possibly spreading to the rest of the galaxy again during or after the events of the game. What I really want to get to is the bigger question: is there a cure for the Flood? Spark mentions a cure that you can find in the terminal on the level 343 Guilty Spark in the original Halo game.
To cure? I still struggle with multiple layers of memory of fighting the Flood. But I know this cure is possible, even though the genius of the Forerunners was unable to achieve it. The Forerunners' ancient enemy held and used that knowledge once, but it was denied to us.
What is also known is that Sergeant Johnson in the book First Strike somehow managed to be latched onto, but not infected completely, by a Flood infection form. Dr. Halsey then claims this as Boren syndrome, and how Johnson's immune system is so messed up that the Flood don't even want to use it or try to make anything from it. Master Chief is then given a choice by Dr. Halsey to turn in one of two Jada chips, one being a chip that will lead Oni to dissect and try to find a cure for the Flood through Sergeant Johnson, and the other being one that simply tells of the Flood. The original Halo terminals and First Strike was later changed or answered in the book Halo Primordium. In Halo Primordium, the humans gave up a third of the population to the Flood so that they would leave them alone. Now going on to Halopedia, Joseph Staten clearly said that Johnson was never actually infected or latched onto by any Flood infection form and simply fought his way out of the facility that we see in 343 Guilty Spark in the original Halo game. So I believe it can easily be said and proven now, seeing that Joseph Staten was the director of the game, that the Flood can choose who and not to infect. This is actually supported by one of my favorite levels in one of my favorite Halo games, Halo 3, the level The Covenant, where the Flood team up with you to find truth and to stop activating of the Halo ring.
Do not shoot, but listen. Let me lead you safely to our foe. Only you can halt what he has set in motion.
What I believe is even more important than this truce is what can be said about the Flood. The Flood seemed to have a singular goal. As of right now, it can only be speculated on, but I believe the Flood are now testing the humans as they did the Forerunners for their worthiness of the mantle, still staying true to their old precursor ways. For those who don't know, the precursors were obliterated by the Forerunners and originally held the mantle of responsibility. Raged by the fact that it was given and taken from them by the precursors, the Forerunners eradicated most of them. The precursors who survived this eradication grinded themselves into a dust that would reincarnate them later. However, this dust was corrupted and later turned the precursors into the Flood. Now that this bridge is gapped, how does this all pertain to a cure? Well, as mentioned before, the Flood have attacked humans and let some of humanity live due to its rage at the Forerunners. Spark mentions a cure, however, but the book Primordium supposedly answers this question with saying that there simply isn't a cure. But was the Primordial lying when he said this? The humans, before the firing of the Halo Ray, at one point captured and interrogated the Primordial. When it was questioned about the Flood, its response made them commit suicide. My only thought is they realized the Flood was uncurable and would come for them next after the Forerunners test. In the book Halo Primordium, these lines are said, "It was long ago decided the Forerunners will never bear the mantle. This decision is final. Humans will replace you. Humans will be tested next. Humans will rise again in arrogance and defiance. The Flood will return when they are ripe and bring them unity, until all space and time are rolled up and life is crushed in the folds. No end to war, grief, or pain. In 101,000 centuries, unity again and wisdom. Until then, sweetness." From these lines, we can tell that now the Forerunners are gone, humanity is next to be tested, and unlike the Forerunners, we must unite and overcome them. So in the end, I believe the cure for the Flood is to defeat them by uniting together and becoming worthy of the mantle. This, however, for humans will be no easy task. As a millennia before, and mentioned by Cortana in Halo Legends, humans have always continued to fight.
But the worlds you found were never enough. Never enough to satisfy the age-old instincts. Speed and distance did nothing to separate you from your nature. Old resentments, ancient squabbles re-emerged. History began its terrible repetition, and once again, man fought man. Like a virus, war was always lurking inside you. No matter how hard you tried to suppress it, it just fought harder to get out. It always got out.
However, it is also mentioned that with truly threatened with extinction, humanity comes together to fight.
But there has always been one truly unifying force in human history. One call that would always unite you. The emergence of a common enemy.
I see it possible for this generation of humanity to overcome the Flood and obtain the mantle. I know I left a lot out about how Cortana and what she does in Halo 5, but I'm really just trying to test the waters with this video. If you guys liked the video, please hit that like button, subscribe. If you have any idea, theories, or just regular comments for the video, please leave them in the comment section below. Just to let you guys know, I'll be doing a special video this Friday, and I'll see you guys next time.